How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Drew Johnson. It is Wednesday night around 10:30. We just finished watching the Mavs and the New York Knicks play. Going into this game, the Mavs were shorthanded because they didn't have Luka, they didn't have Klay, they didn't have Daniel Gafford. But as we've seen, it's been a trend so far this year, DJ. The Mavs, no matter how shorthanded they are, they find a way to get a win without Luka and without other several key players. So the Mavs at home, they get a 129-114 win over the Knicks. They jumped out to a very good start, especially defensively. They won the first quarter 28-15, and they never looked back. Every time the Knicks tried to make a push, the Mavs would hit a big three, or they'd get a turnover and get out in transition and get an easy bucket, or get to the free throw line and hit their free throws. There were several moments where the Knicks tried their best to get back into this game, and the Mavs just put their foot on their throats, basically. So that was great to see. The Knicks are one of the ever since they got Karl Anthony Towns, they have been one of the best offensive team, arguably the best offensive team in the league. They just hung 145 points on the Denver Nuggets in Denver the other night. So, to come into this game and the Mavs to start out the way they did defensively and end up holding the Knicks to 114 points and winning by 15, it was great. So, the Mavs, they have improved to 11-8 on the season. They're 7-3 at home. And they are now 4-1 without Luka. So, and Luka's getting awfully close to coming back. That was the pregame report that he was, Jason Kidd said that he was getting close to coming back. So this is going to be a pretty formidable roster we're putting out there. And this train could keep rolling on through December and into the new year. So what are your initial thoughts from what you saw from this Mavs team against a very talented New York Knicks team?
Well, I really thought it was a defensive showcase on our part. I thought that our guys did a really good job, especially on pick and roll coverages. We were able to bother them by just simply switching. I mean, I really thought that we were going to have to blitz ball handlers and limit Karl Anthony Towns' visibility, but that wasn't the case at all. All we had to do was just switch it, and I thought we did a really good job on that. And that really is what bothered them the most, I think. Cat had a pretty okay game. I mean, by his standards, he scored above his average, but still, we were able to limit them greatly. I mean, how many points did they have in the first half? Like 36 or something like that. And then they ended up.
Halftime. Mavs were up 60-38 at halftime.
It's crazy. That is absolute insanity. And I know the Knicks came back and scored 37 points in the third quarter, but we scored more, I'm fairly certain. And we were able to match everything that they threw at us. And but it all started on the defensive end of the ball. I felt like everything that we did tonight was predicated on our defensive viability. So kudos to us on that, because if we can shut down the Knicks, I mean, they're arguably the best offensive team in the league. We can shut down a lot of people.
The Knicks progressively got better offensively throughout this game. They scored 15 points in the first quarter, 23 points in the second quarter. Then in the second half, they won the third quarter 33-30. But since they were down 22, that didn't matter too much. And then they exploded for 43 points in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson had a massive fourth quarter for them. He was hitting everything. But the Mavs scored 39 in the fourth quarter. So they, neck and neck, they had that big first half lead. And even though the Knicks turned it on offensively, it just wasn't enough to come back from that 20-plus point deficit that they created for themselves in the first half. Well, created for themselves is giving the idea that, the Mavs, they let the Mavs do it. No, the Mavs went out and took this one. They, like you said, the switchability was unbelievable. Like, there was no weak link in any of these defensive lineups. And that was the vision that Nico Harrison had, when he added Naji Marshall and Quentin Grimes, who is a former Knick, and I'm sure he was looking forward to playing against his former team. in this one. But overall, just a very feel-good win, in my opinion. Especially since Luka's getting ready to come back. Like, all of these role players have gotten into a great groove. PJ Washington continues to play outstanding basketball on both ends of the floor. Naji Marshall, another game with 20-plus points. He had 24 points in this game and was 10 of 17 from the field. Let's go through it here. Let's go through, because all 5 starters scored in double digits in this game. So PJ Washington, he had 19 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists for PJ. Look at that. 1 steal and 2 blocks. He was fantastic. And it seemed like every time the Knicks had a little bit of momentum going, like they got a couple baskets in a row, and you thought, okay, well, are Mavs going to give up a run? PJ was there to hit a big 3. He was 3 of 3 from deep on the night. So he had 19. Naji Marshall had 24. Derek Lively, in just 29 minutes, he had 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Kyrie Irving, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Not a big scoring night from Kyrie, but they didn't need it. Quentin Grimes, 21 points as a starter to go with 7 rebounds. Hit 4 of his 8 threes. Love to see it. And then Spencer Dinwiddie, who got so much grief for that the 2 games ago in Miami, when he played the entire fourth quarter and overtime period and went 1 of 12. He has now had back-to-back stellar games. Mm-hmm. He has stepped up the way you would like to see a veteran with great resolve do. So shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie, man. In 33 minutes, he had 21 points. He was 8 of 11 from the field, hit 3 of his 5 threes, and also had 9 assists off the bench. So Spence was amazing in this game. Overall, just the team effort has been incredible from everybody. It's what you like to see when you're short. This is the kind of stuff that builds toward, a true championship contender. You're going through trials and tribulations, and you're having to show character and grit and kind of force out some of these type of wins without your best players, some of your best players. You have Luka out, and, Gafford's been amazing this season. He didn't play. Klay, obviously, is an important piece. This is the kind of stuff that you can build on going forward. And I know we all hated how that Miami game ended, but, you look at the record, and the numbers speak for themselves. The Mavs are top 10 in both offense and defense. They are 11-8, but those 8 losses, 7 of them are by single digits. 4 of them are by single possessions. Mm-hmm. And they've missed several key players in a lot of those games. Even when Luka was playing, they were missing PJ for a handful of games. They were missing or Quentin Grimes. He had that weird thing where he wasn't in the rotation for a little while. Mm-hmm. Lively missed a few games. So I really like where this team is at this point in the season. We're almost 20 games in, and I love where they're at. And I think they have a chance to really build some momentum as we get into December and closer to the new year. So just looking at the schedule here, DJ, next up you have the Utah Jazz. Lauri Markkanen just got injured the other night. So, that should be an easy win if the Mavs don't mess around. And then you play Portland, another team that should be an easy win. If you bring the correct amount of effort and respect to your opponent. And then let's see, the Memphis Grizzlies, that'll be a tough game, especially since Ja Morant is back. But then after that, you play Washington, Toronto, the Clippers twice, and then Portland again before you play Minnesota on Christmas Day. And Minnesota has not looked good. So, yeah. Man, the schedule is looking real favorable for the Mavs right now. What do you expect from this team going forward, and especially when Luka comes back?
Well, it's very encouraging that all of these are winnable games. And honestly, even Minnesota, I think, is a game that we win if all things come together. But, what I'm going to be really interested in seeing is how Luka's going to gel with the rest of the pack as soon as he gets back, because this team has kind of gone on a journey of growth, so to speak, in his absence. And you've really seen some people kind of grow up and grow out into their roles. And it'll be really interesting to see where Luka, obviously he's going to be the top dog when he comes back, but what's the play style going to look like now? Hopefully it's still this fast-paced, high-octane, let's get to the rim, let's get down the floor, let's look for opportunities early in the shot clock, because that's when this team is at its best. And, hopefully we don't go back to just dribbling the air out of the ball like we were earlier this year. And I like to think that won't be the case. I think that Luka's good in transition. Luka's good when playing fast. We saw that last year. He kind of feeds off of it. He's great in the open floor. There's really no reason for him to revert back to that. So, I'm excited, but I'm very curious, I guess, is really what I'm trying to get across.
I hope this time that he has been out has been kind of eye-opening for himself, because in years past when Luka has gone on all these, like there was that year before last when he started the season, he like almost passed Wilt or something for the most 30-point consecutive games to start a season or something like that. You don't need that from Luka anymore. You don't need him to go out there and get 40, 50 points. Now, if he does, great, but I just hope he doesn't force it. And I hope he knows he doesn't have to force it anymore. If his shot's not falling, I don't want him to force 5 more shots, to try and break out of it. I hope he ends up doing like his head coach used to do when he was playing, and just rack up 20 assists.
That's the thing. When you're looking at stats from these games, we are actually a much better team when Luka's scoring between 20 to 25 points a game and averaging double figures in assists and rebounds, and of course low turnover totals.
That's how it was with Dirt too.
Yep. I mean, that's the way it is. And I mean, whenever on one of the solos that I did on here, I forget who it was against. I think it might have been New Orleans. I don't remember. Anyway, and you'll be able to probably give me an exact date just because you're good at stuff like this. But do you remember back in like the mid to late 2000s, like 2007, 2008, Kobe Bryant, where he was just racking up like 60-point games left and right, literally just lighting the league on fire. But you know what? The Lakers didn't win. In fact, there was a sliding scale that they had on ESPN. I remember it vividly because I thought it was hilarious. The more Kobe scores, the less likely the Lakers are to win. Because, I hate the Lakers. But anyway.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, really. But,
I think Lakers fans probably hate the Lakers a little bit deep down.
They probably do at this point. I mean, the whole LeBron thing's kind of gross. But
JJ Redick wasn't the savior. Who could have saw that coming?
But anyway, I think it's a very similar situation for Dallas and really for any team with a domineering superstar. If you can get good production out of them while also achieving balance throughout the rest of your roster, you're going to have a really good chance to win on any given night.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I want to touch on a few other points from this game specifically, not, a couple of player-specific stats, but I also want to talk about the team stats too, and then we'll kind of look ahead, and then everybody's favorite part, we're going to talk about some Thanksgiving stuff we're looking forward to. But first, we're going to pay a few bills, so stick with us. What's up, y'all? We're taking a quick break to tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play PrizePicks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code STEPBACK to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code STEPBACK on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, so we talked about how good the Mavs were defensively overall in this game. Obviously, that wasn't the case in the fourth quarter specifically because they gave up 43 points. But I would argue that there wasn't much they could do with Jalen Brunson just going nuclear, especially with that little, fake spin. He got Jaden Hardy like 3 times consecutively with that little fake spin and little floater.
I was gonna say, look who was guarding him, though. Okay, like, no flag to Jaden Hardy, but I mean, it was sort of a case of you reach, Jalen Brunson teaches. So, he's so good maintaining body-to-body contact whenever attacking the rim or really just trying to get into the paint in general. He is so good at just almost being like a magnet to his defender and just keeping him right there on his hip. And when you're able to do that as a guard, you can control your defender. So he's one of the best I've ever seen at it, and that's the reason why he's able to get virtually any shot he wants in the close to mid-range area, because he's just so good at maintaining contact. His head fakes, his feet are elite. I could sit here and talk about Jalen Brunson all day. I love Jalen Brunson as a point guard. It really hurt my soul whenever he left us for nothing, but
he's very fundamentally sound. Like I would say Kyrie Irving is the most fundamentally sound point guard in the entire league, and he has the athleticism to go with it. Jalen Brunson doesn't really have the same athleticism that Kyrie has, but fundamentally he is solid. His footwork is unbelievable.
Yep.
And he's really improved. He never had a bad jump shot in the first place, but like his 3-point shooting, which he was 0 of 3 tonight, but overall his 3-point shooting, and then especially in that mid-range, like he has a variety of different ways he can score on you. Watching his growth, like we knew how good he was. We saw how good he was for the Mavs in that 2022 playoff run to the Western Conference Finals. But for him,
you and I saw him in Houston whenever
he did
Tar Heels. Whenever he beat my Carolina Tar Heels in the national championship game.
That's right, the buzzer beater.
Very depressed, and we ate those stupid Taco Bell. What the hell?
Delights.
Yeah, them damn things. Jesus Christ. then I became diabetic. But anyway.
Hey, it was a good time though. That's like a core memory for me.
Yeah.
We were in the same building as Michael Jordan. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was wild.
But yeah, man, watching his growth, Jalen Brunson's growth over the years, and especially when because look, I knew he would be good for the Knicks. I didn't think he was going to fully take that step toward being their superstar. And sure enough, he has. So, shout out to him. He ended up with 37 points in this game, had 7 assists, and shot 14 of 21. So great stuff from him, as always. As far as like some of the team stats from this game I wanted to go over, the Mavs shot 56.5% from the field, and they shot 51.5% from 3. Smoking. Like it was great. 17 of 33, very efficient from deep. They hit 16 of their 21 free throws. Let's see here. They won the rebounding battle even without Gafford. They won the rebounding battle 43 to 33.
Not something I had on my bingo card for tonight. Not at all.
I could see Lively getting the better of Cat in that department, but I did think that, New York's guards were going to be really annoying, kind of like what we see from Drew Holiday and Derek White with the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously
an excellent rebounder for a point guard.
And OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, those guys,
Josh Hart, who is literally Mr. Hustle.
Tall and long, and congrats. So, I'm with you. I thought it would be a little bit more, at least closer in that department, but the Mavs did a great job. Everybody boxing out, didn't give up too many offense. Let's say they gave up 7 offensive rebounds. They got 10 of their own. So that was really good. 27 assists to 20 assists. They won that battle. And then, even though they lost the turnover battle 13-9, it didn't matter. points in the paint, surprisingly close. The Knicks won that 58-54, but it doesn't matter when you shoot 51.5% from three.
Also, look at that ratio. You said we had 13 turnovers, 27 assists. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty good. So,
2-1.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, that's what you want.
Yep. Yeah, that's very, very good. So overall, I mean, I have no complaints from this game. Everybody showed up. Look, I knew PJ Washington was going to, because he kind of started off the season slow in his first couple of games offensively. I knew he would get rolling. I knew Quentin Grimes would eventually get rolling. I'm just really proud of Dinwiddie specifically for bouncing back in these last two games the way, because I mean, people were calling for him to get cut. I may have thrown the idea out there of replacing Dinwiddie with Dennis Smith Jr. after that Miami game, but I was emotional. It was a very emotional game. The ending of the game was very frustrating. So that's why I'm not in charge of stuff like that. So shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie. He was incredible, and keep it up. So, I think if, he's shown he can do this in Dallas before, and he was a vital piece of that 2022 Western Conference Finals team. And I always knew, because that three-headed guard monster of Luka, Jalen Brunson, and Dinwiddie was so good, and it gave teams so many problems. So in my head, when they got Dinwiddie back over the summer, I was like, why can't the three-headed monster of Luka, Kyrie, and Dinwiddie, now surrounded with centers like Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, you don't have Dwight Powell starting anymore. Why can't that dynamic flourish? So, maybe all the pieces will come together here, and, they'll go on a really big win streak, and we'll forget all about that slow start where they were 5-7 and, everybody's pets' heads were falling off and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. So just a very feel-good win. Thanksgiving coming up. I'm very thankful for how the Mavs played ahead of Thanksgiving. They didn't ruin our Thanksgiving, DJ, so that's great.
Nothing is going to ruin mine. Nothing is going to ruin.
So, next game is Saturday night, which I have two more Thanksgiving functions I have to go to, and one of them is Saturday night. But it should be I'll be home before that one tips off. That one tips off at 8:30. So I'll definitely be back, and we can recap that one late night. But before we take off here, because we've covered everything about this game, I think, and our expectations, and I gave Dinwiddie his flowers. I'm very thankful for him. Let's talk about Thanksgiving a little bit. Okay, we're going to break this into three different categories. Main dish. What is your favorite Thanksgiving main dish?
Man, so I love me some turkey and gravy. I do.
If the turkey's right, that's where I was going to go.
Yeah, the turkey and gravy, they both have to be right. And I'm talking that gravy, like that thick stuff that has, for whatever reason, I don't know why it has little chunks of egg whites in it, but it does. And it's just fantastic. Just trust me on this one, guys. Just go get it. It's excellent. So my mother-in-law tomorrow is making this diabetic friendly sweet potato casserole, and guys, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
I love me some sweet potato casserole.
Yeah, my wife's side of the family, they do Thanksgiving on a level that it should be illegal. There'll be enough food in there to feed all of North Korea. I'm dead serious. I wouldn't be making such a harsh joke like that if it wasn't true. I believe it. It's absolute insanity.
My wife's side of the family has Italian roots, and so every single gathering, it's the same way. It's just there's so much food that we won't have to go out and eat for a week. And that's everybody. Everybody leaves with stuff, but I'm with you. If for the main, so let's say meats, for example,
Okay.
turkey, if it's right, if it's
Great.
done right, because there's several times I've had turkey where it's dry and it's just almost unbearable to eat, and then you have to, if the gravy isn't there, you're just like choking.
Yep.
But if the turkey is right, that's my favorite turkey. It's juicy gravy, like you said. But if not, my second choice would be honey ham. I love a good honey ham. But that's my two favorite. I'd call that the main dishes, and then we'll go into side dishes. This is the second of three that we're going to talk about. I'll go first on this one. It's mac and cheese.
Hell yeah.
To me, I don't think there's any other option there. I mean, if you do mac and cheese right, I just don't see how anything else could be the best side dish. I mean, that's it. I could have
fun, and I'll send you the recipe that I use. I actually saw it on this Twitter page. I'll give her a shout out. She's called Dallas Foodie, and she shared this person's like recipe. This little blonde-headed girl. Her name's like Teeny or Tiny or something. I don't know. Someone watching this will know what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, it's like that recipe. It's like melt your face good. Like macaroni and cheese should not be this good, and yet it is. So, and to make it better, so it doesn't kill me, at least carbohydrate speaking. It may still clog my arteries and stuff, but it won't kill my blood sugar. I've got low carb pasta for it. So, that's actually what I'm making in the AM.
I am a sucker for some mac and cheese. I could look, if I go back for seconds or thirds, or I'm not the man I used to be, so I probably wouldn't go back a fourth time like I would have in my early 20s.
Days.
My teens and early 20s. But I could go back and just eat a whole tray of that stuff. That's arguably out of the main dishes, side dishes, desserts, everything. That's top tier for me. That tops the list. I'm a mac and cheese junkie. So I think we both agree with that one. I think it's just God tier. I don't think you can get past that.
No, but I will say,
dressing.
I think mashed potatoes gets I don't think it gets enough love. Mashed potatoes with that gravy that I was just talking about earlier is elite. Dressing is fantastic. I remember I had some of y'all's dressing one time because your mom cooked Thanksgiving for dinner one night. I don't know why.
Did that tonight, and then the dressing and the mashed potatoes were
on point.
They were great.
On point. Best dressing I've ever had. She doesn't put onions or any of that nonsense in it. It's just purely not good for your health, but good for your soul food. Like
exactly.
It's best dressing ever.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even a dressing guy until I ate your mother's dressing.
It's funny that you said that because I literally had that like 2-3 hours ago. It was fantastic.
I'm jealous.
Okay, so desserts now. We'll finish it off with this. And if you've stuck around this long to listen to us rant about food, one, you're a sicko, but two, I love you. We're going to talk about desserts now.
Right. I got to give an honorable mention first. All right, before my dessert, I got to give an honorable mention. So my wife's aunt, she makes these deviled eggs that will literally slap your face. Like they're crazy. Okay, they're neck and neck with macaroni and cheese, Dalton. They're right there. Okay, whenever I first get there, I get a plate full of these things specifically, and they are outstanding.
And then you blow the roof off later.
And my farts are terrible, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
I love deviled eggs.
So desserts. So my mom has actually mastered this department for diabetic people, and she's figured out a way to make a diabetic friendly Edwards pie. It's like a chocolate pie. And dude, it's
nice.
You can only eat one piece of it because if you eat more than that, you're going to feel sick because it literally weighs a ton. But, especially that first bite of pie, it's outstanding.
This is going to be kind of controversial because I know depending on how it's done, some people hate it. but I personally love it because how my late great Meemaw used to make it. But sweet, and that's, for Thanksgiving specifically, that has like a very, very high ranking in my heart. So
Sweet potato pie and pumpkin pie.
yes,
Oh
exactly.
God, I wish I could still eat those. I would literally just pick up, my own slices and just eat them like a sandwich or some shit.
And then another one, and this isn't like a conventional, Thanksgiving dessert, but my wife, she makes, there's two different pecan centric desserts that she makes that I love. So this year, her Nana on her mom's side of the way, sadly, she passed away. And one of her things that she did, it was like these little pecan pie muffins, and they were fantastic. Like it's like a little, it almost has the consistency of like a banana bread, but it's pecan pie flavored. It's amazing. So that's one of mine.
Well, I'll say this: that woman made the meanest lasagna I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh yeah, at the wedding. Yeah.
It was like biting into heaven. It's like you're transported to another place whenever you take a bite. Like you just go somewhere else.
And it's funny too, because I've tried several times to get you that recipe, but it's almost like it's like a buried underground, have to have the special key to go.
Dude, I've been begging for it. I've been begging for it. It's so I've actually been looking online. Like I don't want to say I gave up on y'all getting me that, but I've been looking online for like authentic Italian recipes on lasagna, and none of them line up. Because I remember the flavor profile of that. None of these line up.
Well,
Even Vincenzo, you know Vincenzo's plate, that dude that does all.
I do.
He didn't even do it right. He didn't even do the lasagna right. I don't know.
Well, I will eventually, because we have a whole thing of my grandmother and her grandmother and other people's family recipes. We have it in like this box that's somewhere in our kitchen cabinets or something. So I will have to send that to you at some point because it's outstanding. I love it. And then the last pecan dessert that I was talking about, it almost slipped my mind, but my wife has made pecan pie cheesecake bars before. And you want to talk about blow your mind.
That should be illegal.
That's something that has to make its way outside of the Thanksgiving realm. That's something that's like a birthday request or something like that. So, it's pretty outstanding. But overall, I mean, you really can't go wrong this time of year. There's so much good stuff, and you'll make yourself sick, but that's part of the experience. So well, DJ, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. I know I will. I'm gonna be sick by the time we get back on here Saturday night and talk about the Utah Jazz and the Mavs game. But I will have a bottle of Tums and I will be ready to go. So, guys,
I'll see you then.
Yeah. We may just have to just be in the coma on screen.
Yep.
Well, guys, look, we appreciate y'all coming in and listening to another episode of Mavs Step Back Podcast. Be sure to go like, rate, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. And hit that subscribe button on YouTube and Apple Podcasts especially. I tweeted out earlier tonight we were going to give away a T-shirt, winner's choice, from our Mavs Step Back TeePublic website. If the Mavs beat the Knicks, and the Mavs beat the Knicks. So guess what? We're going to be picking a winner to win one of those shirts. So I will randomly select a winner. I'll announce that tomorrow morning, and then I will reach out to you, and we'll see, what shirt you want. So be on the lookout for that. And guys, if you want to enter yourself for a chance to win future giveaways, go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That's where I'm selecting randomly, for these giveaways we do. So appreciate it, y'all. You'll have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next time. Y'all have a good one.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.